Um, First off, I just want to say good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be a part of this webinar that will be highlighting the TEAP, or the Tire Environmental Acts program. This webinar is being put on by the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation's Office of Sustainable Practices. My name is Caleb Powell, and I'm an environmental scientist for OSP, or the Office of Sustainable Practices at TDEC, and I'll be hosting the webinar today for our wonderful speaker. Everyone is muted upon entry to reduce the amount of background noise, but if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to ask those in the chat box. And I'm actually going to send a chat right now that says this is a chat box, so you should be able to see that. It should be on your right-hand side of the screen. Now, this webinar is going to be an overview of the Tire Environmental Act program, and then sort of a look at some of the past grant or projects that have happened. So if you have really specific questions, or you want to ask about a specific project, this isn't exactly the time during this live session to ask those questions, but we definitely can take those questions at a later time. If you want to set up a call with us, shoot an email over to us. I'm happy to do that to speak more specifically about a project that you have in mind. Today we are going to just be talking about the program itself, and looking back on some of the past projects that have been funded. So we love the chat box. Send those questions if you've got there. In between, in the middle of the webinar, we will be taking some of the questions that have been asked, answering those, and then we'll wait to the end to do the other one. So feel free to use that chat box as you'd like. Without further ado, I am going to pass it over to the TEAP mastermind, which is Christopher Pienta. Chris is one of my colleagues, and he's over our Tire Environmental Acts program. It's hard for me to say today. But he's going to go over, like I said, the program itself, and then, yeah, if you have any questions, shoot those in the chat box, and I'll make sure that I get those asked to him. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on over to Chris.
Thanks, Caleb. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. It's exciting to see so many people interested in our program. Always enjoy the added interest and look forward to talking about it today with you. So today I want to cover just the general overview of the grant program and talk some about what the eligibility requirements are, available funding amounts, matching requirements, and that sort of thing. And then also I want to talk about some of the different types of projects that we have funded in the past, just to give you an idea of the different types that are eligible for funding, and the different categories too that those projects fall under, whether it's tire recycling, tire-derived products, or research and development. So first, I'll start with just doing a brief little background on the program itself, and how it got started. Back in 2015, the General Assembly created the Tire Environmental Fund, which assesses a fee on the tires of a new vehicle when it's first titled and registered here in Tennessee. There's a $5 fee for vehicles with 4 or less tires, $10 for vehicles with 5 to 10 tires, and then $15 fee for vehicles with 11 or more tires. The collected fees help us to fund these projects that create beneficial reuses for Tennessee's scrap tires. And on average, we receive approximately $1.2 million annually through this fee. And the grant program that we've established through this fund provides that financial assistance to all entities in Tennessee to enhance activities that fit into 3 major categories: tire recycling, tire-derived material use, and research and development. And I'll talk a little bit more about each of those 3 categories And the first one, tire recycling, and that is for those entities that collect or transport, receive, and process waste tires into a material for beneficial end use. And some examples of those projects include tire shredding, tire granulation, tire collection equipment, and tire transportation equipment as well would all be eligible for funding. And any of these type of proposals, it's important that they identify those viable end markets that are associated with the product that is being produced. The second category is our tire-derived material use, and this is for entities that create beneficial end markets for those processed waste tires. And some examples of those projects would include the construction of permeable surfaces that have environmental and engineering advantages, such as trails or playground surfaces, also molded or extruded rubber products, also the use of tire-derived aggregate in construction erosion control and filtration. An example of that would be a drain field aggregate in septic systems. And then lastly, construction infrastructure using tire-derived materials, and that could include road subgrades or backfill material for embankments or retaining walls. The third category that we fund projects under is research and development. This category is limited to our higher education institutions or academic research centers that conduct research, testing, or development of beneficial uses or products derived from waste tires. Research and development needs to be focused on waste tire management, the use of tires as alternative fuels, or the use of tires in innovative infrastructure developments. Proposals for these type of projects should, again, identify viable end markets as well as associated partners. Some examples of these projects would include rubberized asphalt research or research of alternative processing technologies. And just to give you a brief understanding of the grant timeline, we start in mid-January, opening up that grant application period that opened back on January 15th, just a couple of weeks ago, and that application period will stay open through mid-April. And at that point, we will collect all the applications that have been submitted and begin a review process. We have a review team that looks through each of the applications, and then that team will meet and discuss each of the applications, the benefit of each of those applications, and decide which of those applications are going to receive grant awards for this coming year. By June, we like to have those selections finalized, and at that point we will notify the awardees, and then starting in July we'll start developing those grant contracts, and hopefully by August we have those contracts executed and you're able to start your projects at that point. So it's a little bit of a process from start to finish, but yeah, you most likely wouldn't be able to begin the contract until late summer or early fall. But I will say that, again, these contracts are multi-year, so don't feel that if you aren't able to start until the fall, you still have a few years to complete the project. So just some general requirements for the grant. It is, like I just explained, an annual grant cycle. It is a competitive grant. That's important to know. Just because you submit an application doesn't mean that you will receive funding. An example, last year we had our highest participation we've ever had. We had 17 applications submitted requesting more than $8 million in funding. We were only able to award 5 grants last year for a total of $2.4 million. So yeah, again, it is a competitive grant, so we will look at all the applications and decide on what is most beneficial to help with the waste tire issue in Tennessee. It is also a reimbursement grant, which means that you would need to have all of your upfront capital to pay for the project. As the project is going along, you can submit invoices to us and we can reimburse you at that point. The project doesn't have to be fully completed to do that. You can submit invoices as you go along, as you receive those. We do turn those reimbursements around fairly quickly within a 1 to 2 week time period. So, but yes, it is important to know that yes, you would be required to have that upfront capital to start those projects yourself. We have a minimum grant request of $10,000 and a maximum grant request of $1 million. And then a couple of different match requirements depending on the type of entity that you are. For our for-profit businesses, it is a 50-50 match. And then for entities such as local governments, nonprofits, K through 12, higher ed, they're required to provide a 20% match, and we provide the other 80% with the grant. And it's also important to note that any project does require that the tires that are being diverted or being used for the project need to be Tennessee tires. That can be proved through invoices and that type of thing, but we do require that they are Tennessee tires, and there are several processors in the state that do process our tires and can provide those materials to you, and that verification that they are Tennessee tires. Our grant program is managed through our grant management system. All state grant programs are operated through this system. It's an online management of all applications. On our TEAP website, we do have instructions on how to get registered for the grant management system if you are interested in starting an application. And then we are required to submit annual reporting each year to the General Assembly, so that requires us to ask any grantee to provide their diversion numbers, whether it's the number of tires that they've diverted or an estimated tonnage of tires that they've been able to divert from landfills. So since the program started back in 2015, we've awarded $9.2 million in grants. I think we've completed 24 projects over that span and been able to divert more than 6.5 million tires during that time from the waste stream. Okay, before I get into just giving some details about some of the projects we have funded, I did want to check with you, Caleb, and see if anyone had any questions just about the program in general.
Hey, Chris. Currently don't have any questions. Make sure that if you are typing a question in the chat box, there is a little drop-down box that shows who you're sending that to. Make sure that says all participants, all panelists, or it has the word host in it. So there's host, host and presenter. So make sure that either the host or all, the word all is in one of those that you choose, so it is sent to me so I can see that. Now, I did just have a question that came in that says, will you be sending out PowerPoint? Some people have been getting pulled away, and so, Chris, we will be sending this out with a follow-up, right?
Yes, we can do that. And we are also recording this, correct?
Yes, yeah. So give us a couple days after, by the end of the week, we will have the PowerPoint slides and the recording link sent out to everybody that registered. So if you miss anything or having to step away for a second, no big deal. We have it recorded, and you'll be able to see these slides later on. Now, Chris, I did just have a question come in that says, could the match be funds from another grant?
Yes, absolutely. And that is something I will cover as we talk about some of the projects that we've done in the past. That's an option that several people have used to meet that match requirement. So that is absolutely something folks are able to do.
And that's all we've got. Oh, actually, just another one came in. With it being Tennessee tires being diverted, does that mean we have to supply/provide the tires ourselves?
No, not at all. But it does require that you work with a processor or a supplier that that can provide documentation that they are Tennessee tires that you're using for the project. And we do have several processors in state that can provide that documentation to prove that they are Tennessee tires. Which is what the whole grant is about. It's helping to keep those Tennessee tires out of our landfills. So we do want to have that verification that any project is using Tennessee waste tires.
Had a couple more come in. One says, can federal grants be tied to the same project with a state grant?
In the past, we've done like recreation trail grants or RTP grants. I'm not sure if those are, I think those are federal. I think that's something we can do. So yeah, as far as I know, that's not an issue.
And then another one that says, I work at a state park, so we would fall under the 20% match category, correct?
Yes. That would be, that would fall under the government category. So yeah, it's really only our for-profit businesses that fall under the 50-50 match. Everyone else is the 20-80. So
I think that's all I have right now. So we can move on to the next. And feel free if you just think of a question while we're doing this next part. Oh, actually, one just came in. Two just came in, actually. Is the grant based on population of the area that's applying as well? We are a county municipality.
There's several factors that are involved with selecting projects. We obviously want to try and get the most bang for our buck. We only have so many dollars to spend each year, and we want to really see as big of an impact as we can. We do definitely like to work with local governments as well, understand that they're the ones managing a lot of our waste tires, so definitely want to help those counties out when we can, and I'll talk about one of those projects that we've funded previously as well. But yeah, there are a lot of different factors that go into consideration when we're looking at each of these projects. But yeah, so hopefully that answers that question.
And there was one other one that said, could you include the list of processors and or sources that are compliant when you send out the PowerPoint?
Yes, yeah, we can provide a list of those that are currently within the state that can help with that that documentation of Tennessee waste tires for sure.
All right, I think we're good to move on, and feel free to keep sending questions, guys. These are all really great questions. I think that help others understand the program.
Yeah, so I thought it would be good to talk about some of our prior projects that we have funded, just to give you an idea of the different things that that we've done across the state in the past, and just maybe spark your imagination for what you can maybe do within your community. Like I said, we have funded processors in the past. That was something we really wanted to focus on. When we first started this program, we did not have a lot of processors within state, and we thought by getting more set up across the state, that would help out our local governments as far as their collection of tires and the cost involved with shipping those tires to processors. So I think we've done a good job of that. So we're turning more of our attention towards assisting local governments and looking at those end market products for our scrap tires. I'm not saying that we won't consider future processing applications. I think there are still some holes across the state that we can fill, but so I won't talk about the processing projects here, but we'll focus more on those end market products that we've done previously in the past. One of those type of projects is the use of porous pavement. It's been a popular project that we've done previously. And porous pavement is just paved surface with a higher than normal percentage of air voids that allow water to pass through it and infiltrate into the subsoil. And it's made from equal parts of recycled rubber and stone, which is held together by a binding agent. And there are several benefits to using the porous pavement. It helps with stormwater management. It's more slip resistant, more resistant to freeze-thaw, lower maintenance costs involved, and also helps entities become eligible for LEED credits. And like I said, we've done several projects using the porous pavement, worked with several municipalities. One example is the town of Tellico Plains, and working on a walking trail at their town park. They requested $117,000 in TEAP funds. It was a 50-50 match that they did with an RTP grant. So yes, you can, like I said, do that match using another grant. And it replaced an existing 2,000-foot long, 6-foot wide asphalt trail, and you can see a picture of that on the bottom left. It was in pretty rough shape, so they wanted to update that and improve that, and they replaced that with a 2-inch thick, 10-foot wide chrome rubber modified asphalt porous pavement over compacted gravel with a filter fabric. And that project used approximately 3 tires, 3 scrap tires for every 10 square foot of pavement that was installed. The total project ended up diverting more than 6,000 waste tires from landfills. Another example of some porous pavement projects that we've done, we've worked a lot with our state parks. We've completed projects at Cedars of Lebanon, T.O. Fuller, Montgomery Bell, and we also did a playground project at Henry Horton. And the combined annual visitation at these 4 parks is more than 3 million guests. So we like doing these projects. We know that they get a lot of eyeballs on them, and definitely a great educational opportunity for those guests that are using these facilities. We usually post signage to go along with these trails, so folks know about the project, know how tires have been recycled to make these trails, and again, a great educational opportunity for guests. And yeah, as I've said, a lot of these have used matching funds with other grants as well, which is completely acceptable. One of those
state park projects was at T.O. Fuller State Park down in Memphis, and that was a partnership with TDOT. Total project cost was $730,000. They had an RTP grant worth $280,000. TDOT provided a litter grant for $200,000, and then TEAP provided $250,000 grant funding. And this was the former golf course down at that state park, which they had turned into a natural area. They closed the golf course and turned it into a hiking area for folks. So we installed flexible porous pavement over the 2.9 miles of cart path there at the former golf course. It's actually one of the longest rubber bearing trails in the U.S. It's ADA compliant, so accessible for wheelchairs, strollers, and walkers. And the great thing is that the trail actually used scrap tires that were collected from the neighboring communities in Memphis. They collected roughly 24,000 illegally dumped tires throughout those communities and had those tires processed, and that's what they used to make the trail. A really good project. And you can see we included some signage there, so folks who are using those trails could learn how that was completed. And then another type of project that we've done at a state park is a playground surface, which is something that we can fund as well, whether it's in a state park or at a local park or at a school. All great options for those type of entities. And this was a partnership with Blue Cross Healthy Place Initiative, $600,000 total project cost, and it provided an ADA compliant playground for children of all ages and abilities. It helped minimize hydraulic impact, which is something that was important to state park, reducing that stormwater runoff, having it being a pervious surface. And this project helped to divert 1,600 scrap tires from the landfill. Another project we've completed was with Metro Nashville. They were looking for a new way to do their tree surrounds in the downtown area. What they had previously been using was expensive and just not working. So they requested $96,000 in TEAP funding. It was a 50-50 in-kind match with Metro Nashville, and they replaced 130 of the broken or missing cast iron and aluminum tree grates, and replaced that with the porous paving. And you can see in the pictures what those look like. If you've walked around downtown Nashville, you may have seen those. This FlexiPave product is a less expensive option for the city that helps reduce tripping hazards and is ADA compliant, lower maintenance and liability costs, and it also helps to allow the water to infiltrate into those root systems of those trees. This was a partnership with Patriot Tire Recycling out of Bristol, Tennessee, that's one of our processors that we do have in the state that can process those Tennessee tires to be used in these type of projects. Total project diverted 1,200 tires from landfills, and you can see those numbers there for a 4x4 section that used 5 tires. A 5x10 used 17 tires. Another project we completed was with Binghamton Development Corporation, or BDC. And BDC is a nonprofit organization out of Memphis that trains and provides jobs for people with prior criminal records or have struggled previously with drug addiction. So we do like to work with nonprofits as well. they had noticed there was an increase in bicycle accidents in the Shelby County area, and so wanted to do a pilot project installing bike lane barriers using scrap tires. So we provided them with $35,000 in TEAP funding, and they were able to purchase a tire deconstruction machine, which would cut off the sidewalls of the tire, and they would use the tread section of those tires to create these bike lane barriers. It was a 1.2 mile pilot project that they did along Broad Avenue in Memphis, and a total of 420 tires were diverted for this project. Now, it might not seem like a lot of tires for this project, but they are in talks with the city and the county of doing more projects like this throughout Memphis. This project has been successful, so they are looking to do additional projects that is more cost effective than what they are currently using. And Metro Nashville is also considering their own pilot project. They saw the success of this project and compared it to the costs of what they're currently using as well, and saw that they would have a significant reduction in their costs installing this type of barrier compared to what they currently use. And then one last project I wanted to talk about was a project we did with Lawrence County. They were wanting to improve their waste tire management at their collection facility. Lawrence County recycles roughly 1,100 tons of scrap tires annually. We awarded them $365,000 in TEAP funding, so they were able to purchase a track hoe, which would allow them to more efficiently and more safely manage their scrap tires at their collection facility. It also is going to allow them to help with cleanup of their illegal dump sites. They were able to purchase a trailer so that they could transport the track hoe to those remote areas of the county to be able to clean up those sites, which have been a problem, not just in their county, all counties across the state. And they're also going to do a public education campaign as well, using social media, radio, and newspaper to educate folks about recycling in general and also about scrap tires, and trying to help reduce that number of illegal dump sites that they do have in the county, and also work with the county schools to educate the kids as well about recycling and tire recycling as well. But that's all I have. Just a reminder again that the grant application period is open from January 15th through April 15th, so we have about 2.5 months left to get those applications in. But yeah, happy to answer any additional questions people may have at this time.
Thanks, Chris. We had a couple more. It says, do you know what the current annual volume of non-recycled tires is for the state?
Non-recycled tires, that I don't know. I know that we, as a state, generate roughly, I think we're at 6 million scrap tires annually. All of those tires are supposed to be recycled, and of course, not all of them do. Some are illegally dumped, and we're trying to help with that issue as well. But yeah, all scrap tires are supposed to be recycled, whether it's being collected at a tire dealership or collected at a convenience center at the local counties. So yeah, there's not supposed to be any tires that aren't getting recycled, but we currently don't allow scrap tires to be deposited in landfills, or strongly discourage that practice.
Yeah, and this question, I think we already answered it. It says, do you have a list of processors from around the state that we could contact? And that question was essentially asked a little earlier, and we said that we were going to send a list of processors and or sources for scrap tires with a follow-up for this webinar.
Yeah, we can include that list with the presentation and provide those contact information as well.
All right, I'm not seeing any other questions. If you have any final questions for Chris about our Tire Environmental Act program, feel free to send those in the chat box now. And like I was mentioning at the very beginning, if you have specific projects that you want to ask about, or more specific questions, be sure to write down Chris's information here, give him a call or shoot him an email, and we'd be happy to discuss more about, those more specific projects you had in mind, or issues that you or questions that you might have for the grant application.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk with people on the phone, or answer an email, or set up a meeting to discuss any potential projects y'all may have, and have any questions about getting an application completed before the deadline. Happy to talk with folks about that and help them with that process. I know it can be difficult if it's the first time for folks getting into the grant management system, or just applying for grants in general can be a little overwhelming if it's the first time. So happy to help in any way I can.
Yeah, and I went ahead in the chat box and I linked our TEAP website, so that could bring you to the website if you just click that link or copy and paste it to save for later. I will be including that in the follow-up email for this webinar, but that's got some more infographics and a link to the application as well. So I'm not seeing any other questions. Wanted to thank everybody for joining today and for your interest. This is a fantastic program, and want to thank you, Chris, for sort of spearheading the grants and going through all the applications, and it takes a lot, and so just kudos to you for taking on the program and making it what it is. So like we mentioned before, this is being recorded. It will be put on our YouTube channel, and then that link will be sent out to you guys before the end of the week. We will make sure that we list out the processors and the sources for scrap tires that we know of in that follow-up, and then we will also include this presentation that you just saw today. So if there's no more questions, everyone have a great rest of your week. And if you do think of a question or want to get more specific, reach out to Chris. He would love to talk to you about it.
Thanks, Caleb.